Okay, we should be back, ready to go. I do apologize for that. Um, and so I'm just gonna see if everything is all good on my end. Hopefully it goes up soon. But yeah, I didn't have the chat up on my OBS, and so that would have been rough just staring at my phone the entire time. So let's just hopefully we can get this all back up and started. I'm not seeing it on my YouTube. If it is, okay, perfect. We are live. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so yeah, we'll give it a few minutes before we get started. But um yeah, man, I hope everyone is doing well. Again, yeah, for those who might be confused what I'm talking about, so I did have a live earlier, just for a few minutes, but I noticed that my chat wasn't up on stream, and so that would have been rough. That would have not done well. Just staring at my phone for the chat the entire time. But so yeah, like I said, here's the plan for today. Um, we're going to watch. So this was an interview with Sister Iman. This is the person who she's been doing like mini fundraisers for these families in Gaza for the past 2 years, and very consistently, she's been doing her best to get water trucks out to the families in Gaza weekly, and luckily from what she's told me, alhamdulillah, that it's been they've had now more steady water, and so she's been like transitioning to getting them like warm jackets and food, but specifically like the warm jackets because it's been really cold, like the winter's been really bad, their tents are being destroyed, and so they need warm, they really need like proper clothing because the winter has been horrible from what it sounds like. And then so yeah, we're gonna dive into that video, and then we're gonna go into like a little background about my what what were my first steps into allowing God into my life. And so yeah, so we'll but yeah, like I said, so far it's been on my end, it's we've had a lot of subscriber growth, which has been nice, and so hopefully inshallah we can reach that 1,000 subscriber goal. So then that would immediately unlock a donation of $100 into the charity, and then we would reach 50% of our goal, which would be great. And even if that is our end up being the total goal of this year, then we've already super successful, right? We're already able to at least get 1 week's worth of water and have money left over to help these families maybe even get food or even get jackets and stuff like that. And so yeah, like I'm just super like just thrilled that this is the third day of Ramadan. We're almost halfway at our goal. We still have like the rest of the entire month left, and it'll probably be a little slow for a few days, even a few weeks. It could be very slow. But like I said, the point is like what's in our heart and our attention, and we've already been so successful, and we've been doing this as a group, and so may we all be rewarded for it, of course. And inshallah, we do hit our goal of $1,000, and hopefully, inshallah, more. But yeah, we've already made some really massive strides, which has been really cool to see. And so, um, and then yeah, in terms of like my spiritual journey so far, through Ramadan, I've been really focusing on. Walaikum salam, Muhammad. How you doing? Kayfa Halik, Kayfa Halik. But yeah, I've been really focusing on reading the Quran in Arabic, and I've now finished 2 juz, alhamdulillah. I finished the second juz this morning, and so I think I should have enough time to finish a whole juz today, the third juz, and then I should be on schedule for a little bit. I am going to a wedding tomorrow, and so that will hinder the progress, unfortunately, but I think we can still bring it back, and I expect to read a lot during the last 10 nights of Ramadan, inshallah. Just trying to stay up the entire night. And so that I should be able to. I think if we continue at the pace that we do, there's a very good chance that I will be able to finish the entire Quran in Arabic, which would be a pretty massive goal. Like I said, I'm spending like 3+ hours at least. I spent like an hour and like 15 or 20 minutes this morning reading the Quran, just so I can get up to speed, and I think you know, it's it's funny with all the talking, and then also like reciting the Quran like out loud. Like I'm doing it very softly so I can save my voice a little bit, but I'm doing it very softly. My jaw is like getting like kind of sore. Funny enough, and so, but like it's cool, you know, and maybe this is placebo effect. Maybe this is it's really hard to like understand my feelings around, was reading the Quran, but people call the Quran like the cure. They call it medicine, and you know I like one of like there's two things that are happening at least so far for me. I feel like I have so much energy right now, and I've been off coffee for a few for almost for a month now, and before then I only drank coffee for a few weeks, and I didn't have coffee for 2 months before that. So coffee hasn't really been a big part of my life. This year actually since last Ramadan, and but I swear, ever since yesterday, I feel like I have all this energy. I've been able to, be productive while reading the Quran, and obviously like it's different when you read the Quran in English, right? For me, I'm reading in English, and it's you just kind of gloss over it a little bit. But when I'm reading in Arabic, I really have to focus on like what each letter is, and I get a little bit of a headache. Funny enough, and so. But yeah, it's been I it's funny. My friend, and I know I'm kind of a little bit all over the place trying to explain this, but my friend, but I'll get to the let me land right. But my friend, he was working in like neurotech, right, like neurosciences, but like pairing with technology, and he would like he would like research studies specifically about like the effects of the Quran, like listening to the Quran on the brain, and even like seeing like how the Quran and the ear muscles move when you listen to the Quran in Arabic, right? And so I think that field is like obviously like extremely fascinating with me now reading the Quran in Arabic, and just thinking about like how my jaw movements in Arabic potentially while reading the Quran and hearing it out loud while I recite it might be affecting me internally, my brain chemistry, my heart potentially. And so yeah, like I'm excited to see like what this mini challenge or significant challenge I'm doing what the results will yield in. And so yeah, that's kind of been like the thought process. But we're gonna watch about like half of this today, maybe the whole thing actually, and then we're gonna get into this, and then we're gonna get into my a little bit into my life as well. What I'll probably end up doing is taking the time privately to record a video and post these rather than like kind of do on live stream because it's a little bit difficult to do both when I have comments happening. But yeah, let's just kind of get into this. This is Aman. I before this interview we just corresponded through email, and I was introduced to her by the previous interview I did with Ahmed, and I wanted to help Ahmed on his fundraising goals. He already raised $4,000 for this individual family that he's been working with for many years now, for about like 4 years now, and so he already surpassed his goal, and he was doing this before Ramadan, alhamdulillah. And so I wanted to help him, but he was like, Max, like I already kind of exceeded my goal. He wanted to raise 2,000 and he raised 4,000, and so why don't you go help this sister that I know that she's been doing a lot of great work. And so we chatted through email. We finally were able to get on the phone, and what was funny about this interview is that there was like so much. I guess it was like maybe I wasn't clear, or maybe it was like it wasn't like, yeah, I guess it just wasn't clear, because she was like, hey, before we do the interview, like I would like to like discuss some things, like should I wear like a face covering, what are the questions going to be about. And so we spent like 20 minutes not only just like talking about each other, but we talked about like the interview. And I was like, yeah, I've interviewed another another woman, and her interview will probably go up on Monday. And But she did a face mask, and so we were just talking, and then I went through all the questions, be like, hey, is there any questions that you don't like? Is there any questions that is there anything you want me to ask or whatever? And so she was like, no, everything's good, like everything should be fine, everything's great. And I'm like, okay, cool. And so then we record the entire interview, 47 minutes, right? We record the entire thing. And then afterwards she's like, hey, was that the actual final interview, or we were talking about what the interview's going to be about? Is there any link today? What do you mean link today? But yeah, it was just like up to you. Oh, you mean you want to? Yeah. No, we can definitely what we can do is we can do like half of this, and then yeah, we can go on StreamYard for sure. So we can do that. Let me just get it set up on this side. But yeah, but for sure, or what we can do is we can StreamYard tomorrow, because tomorrow is like I'm posting a stream clip, and so I'm not gonna be reacting to. I didn't expect you to go live now. Yeah, I know. Well, it's because the reason I'm going live now is because then it's Juma, and it's Juma like here soon. And so obviously gonna go to the masjid for that, and then I have another interview later. And so this was kind of like the only like the best time I could go live on, like, which I know it's early, but it's funny because I've been trying to test different times to see what's been best for my audience, right? And obviously like I know the I left Christianity for Islam title is like a really triggering title, and so those streams always do very well, of course. Versus like and then also it's like this is Ramadan, people are busy. I know people are like not even using social media and YouTube right now, and so inshallah, we're just gonna keep trying, right? Allah azzawajal is the best of planners, and so we're gonna keep doing what I intend to do, and I'm gonna let him kind of plan it from here. But yeah, tomorrow is gonna be like more of a like reactionary stream. It's gonna be StreamYard, and so we can just do that tomorrow too, if you're down. I think it might be best. And then Sunday, I'm actually doing a co live stream with someone. He's a revert and he has a YouTube channel, and so and his channel is pretty poppin'. And so yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm excited to learn about him. And then yeah, hopefully we can learn. He's I think he's from America as well, and so yeah. But that should be a cool link up too. Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, I also like I'm curious because, like whether like my I'm really curious about if my stream is not doing as well. One, because it's Ramadan, of course. Two, because of like but I've streamed like around this time before many times, but also like if I have particular like names of countries in my title is my question. That's something I've been curious about, because my content has definitely suffered a little bit of a hit. I'm also pumping the algorithm really hard too, so that could also be doxing me as well. But this is either way, this is what we're doing this month, right? This is my goal. My goal is to spread, is to, one, obviously raise money, and this is the best way I can. Besides obviously going to my friends and families and asking them directly, my other social media accounts. But yeah, so anyways, and then also this is a good way for me to keep up with the community at large, right? Because I unfortunately with like me not having my car. Yeah, no, I'm not worried about the numbers at all. Like honestly, I was thinking about this last night. What's really been nice for me is because I don't have a car, and so it's hard for me to go travel to the masjid. No, it's a wave. But it's hard for me to travel to the masjid for like Tarawih and stuff like that. And so yeah, this is kind of like my Muslim community this year, which is kind of based, like I get to see everyone, I get to talk to everyone, all of my lovely subscribers, and we're building this awesome community together. And so for me, it's like this is like the only time throughout the day like I really get to be involved in the Islamic community during Ramadan, which, I was a little like bummed about it because I wasn't in San Francisco because that was really fun last year. But I'm like, you know what? Like, this is a whole new experience for me. And so, yeah, inshallah, I'll have more Ramadans. But, like I said, I think, for whatever reason, Allah Azzawajal put in my heart to do this fundraiser. And it's, like I said, we've had great success so far. $440, which is, I mean, like I said, we're already almost half at our goal. Yeah, no, like the closest mosque is like 25 minutes away. And so, which is not terribly far, but then it's like, I have to use one of my parents' cars, gas every single day. So it isn't like a walk, right? It isn't like I can just go stroll down a couple blocks and there's a mosque, right? Like if I want to go to a church, that's easy pickings. There's a church like literally right down the street that I can go walk to. There's probably a couple around here. But no, like, and especially where I live in California right now, it's like it's like the Trump capital of California. That's the best way to say it. And, there's like no mosque. Like, funny enough, back in the early 2000s, it might have been like the mid 2010s. And I say this is funny. Like, I don't mean this is like actually like funny, but I'm just saying like how bizarre of a city I'm in. But there were like, there was found to be like KKK members or like ex-KKK members on our city council, right? Like, this is like, hardcore evangelist Christian society, which we're in, which I live in now. Really hardcore MAGA people. Just a couple houses down, there's like an ultra MAGA, flag. And Jazakallah khair. No, may Allah protect all of us. Look, I mean, for me, I look, like a normal white guy. So it's like, it's no, I don't really face anything. But yeah, it is sometimes difficult to go to the masjid, especially now that I don't have a car anymore because it got stolen. But, inshallah, I'll go as much as I can. And then, but, it's also, given me the space to read the Quran in Arabic fully this year. Which, that was my goal, and now it's like that's really what I like, since that's like the best thing I can do to serve Allah this year, I believe, is obviously raising $1,000, which would be amazing, and then also reading the entire Quran in Arabic would be a really, like, I'd be really, really happy about that. And so yeah, and then may Allah curse Paul and then all the church and peace be upon him. Yeah, no, I mean, it's, luckily it's been, like I said, I haven't had too bad of, experiences. It has been, the thing is like, no, I I'm not going to try and push other people away. Like, obviously, I love my Christian brothers and sisters. I know we don't get along, we don't agree on much, but and obviously the future holds what it holds, and there's a lot of interesting ideas, or there's a lot of beliefs about what the end times are, of course, and what we believe, of course. But until then, it's like, how can I represent the faith properly, not push people away from the religion? And obviously I 100% disagree with the Pauline faith. That's without a doubt. But yeah, like, I'll let Allah Azzawajal, figure out those people. I don't want to, especially this month, right? This is the month of Ramadan. This isn't like, this isn't Christmas. This isn't, Easter. It is Lent, which is fair. It is Lent. But yeah, this is like our month. This is our holy month, and this is the month that was, given to us by Allah Azzawajal. And it was instructed to us by the Holy Prophet Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and that's what I want to focus on, and then, but no, that is true. We are the ones who are upholding Isa, Jesus's true message, without a doubt. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that either, and we are actually following. Like, I say this all the time in my comment section to people who comment on my YouTube videos. um, they're like, oh, you left Jesus for this or you did that, and yeah, okay, yeah, we can look at that, but yeah, like without a doubt, like when people say like I hate Jesus or whatever, like whatever comment, I'm like I'm actually serving God the way Jesus did, which is true. But yeah, before we get into the video, because like I just want to watch half of it, and I implore you guys to watch the other half. But yeah, Psalms. We can quickly look at this. 137:9. So yeah, this is about Babylon. Oh, I did not. I could do this. Let me just no, please. Hold on. What is going on? Close tabs. Let me just close that. All right. Happy is the one who seizes your infants. Well, yeah, okay. No, yeah. It's yeah. I always say this all the time. Like, it's like whatever, and that's why, like, the word hypocrite is used so often in our Quran, right? Whatever people talk about, what's in our holy scripture, it's reflected into theirs, and we're cut from the same cloth ultimately. you know Now, I mean, we're Abrahamic religions at the end of the day, and yeah, there's obviously manipulations that we believe, and like, I don't know the full context of that, like whether like when I mean the full context of that scripture, of that one verse, like was that like that is that's from David, right? Yeah, and so whether that was a manipulation or whether, like, they believe God ordered that, is what I'm saying, is the context. And so, but totally, yeah. I mean, we see in the Quran, like, there's verses, there's ayahs in the Quran that specifically say, like, not to, like, during wartime, right? Not to kill children, not to kill women, and not to, like, destroy the land ultimately. And so, unfortunately, there is a lot, there happens to be, many different, messages of that in the Bible. But, aside from that, like I said, kind of what, has been, like when it comes to a lot of the Christian community and whatever, whatever we see online is not like represented to what we see in real life. Like every once in a while you'll see like someone who like takes this like full on like apologetic stance. And it typically tends to be like layman's, and I've had a lot of like that type of reaction from Catholics specifically. But when it comes to I've had really great relationships with Christians, my Christian friends. And so, it's just like ultimately treat them with dignity and respect, and you're going to get that back too. And so, and no, for sure, for sure. I do agree with you. It's, yeah, I mean, especially the churches that I went to, they were more concerts most of the time than like actual like meetings about like talking about how to implement things into your daily life, as well as like what is going on in the world. That is the one thing that I love about the mosque, especially the mosque, even though like the mosque that I go to here in Southern California, dude, like last week we were talking about the Epstein files. We're actually talking about, like, and which is, if you talk about like things that the church would never talk about, church would never go into something like this. Like they never go into like what's happening in just the sphere of like American politics, or just the geopolitical scene as a whole, right? It was like, but bang, like we started and Iman was talking about obviously what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in with the Epstein files, and you're just like, okay, this is which is good. Like like church is like church was always used as a place to talk about, like it wasn't really a place like, yeah, like the church was really to talk about like the societal issues and like the political issues and what the town needed to do and all that stuff. Like that's kind of what the church was for, you know. And now it's just like, a lot of like some of the churches I would go to, especially this one in San Francisco, is huge. Like there's probably hundreds of people, like maybe even 1,000 people. But it was a concert, It was just people with like guitar, boom boxes, like the walls were shaking because it was so loud. It was how do I say this? It was cringe. It was pretty cringe. I could never go there. After that, I went there one time and I was like, yeah, no, this is not for me. This is not what I signed up for. And and it was actually, which is funny enough, it was probably a year ago today, when or a year ago in February when I went to that church, and they were talking about Lent, and then the lady who was like the pastor for the day, she was saying that she hates fasting, and it was just like, and that was like another thing where it's like, how could you be like a spiritual person and you want to serve God, you want to serve Jesus, right? You're in church and you're here to serve Jesus. You have this belief that this guy died on the cross for you, right? He died for your sins. He died so that you can get into heaven, but you don't even want to fast. But by fasting, it's like you don't even want to give up candy or you don't want to give up meat on Fridays, right? And so I was just like, yeah, like, if that's kind of like, what the aura of the church is, then that's not for me, right? That's just not for me. I think, and yeah, I'll go, I'm actually going to go in today, weirdly enough. That's going to be kind of when I did Lent last year too. And yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's really funny. Anyways, okay, I've kind of been yapping for a while. So let's get into this interview. Like I was saying before, great interview with the sister Iman. She's very passionate. She's very politically driven. She spends, she literally just focuses on helping them get water. She doesn't work. She lives with her family. She like I said, she's tried to get them water trucks every single week for 2+ years. Now there's been a larger water supply, or there's just been better access to water recently due to the ceasefire. And so yeah, she's been focusing on food and clothing, specifically like jackets. But yeah, let's just kind of hop into it. These city councils, are you doing this like within a group, or are you doing this mostly alone? Like, what it like, and bro, like we did this like late at night too. I was like, man, I looks like I saw ghosts. What the heck? What does your team look like when you're facing all of these challenges, and also sending water?
I'm alone. Usually I'm doing it alone. I'm doing everything alone. But
Wow.
sometimes at the city council, I would go if there's public comment because they make you wait I would wait sometimes 9, 10, 11, 12 hours just to comment. That's how they do it. They do it that way on purpose because they think nobody's gonna be patient. And
So you're
that's what I'm
just
telling
you're
you. It
just
was
sitting there like shaking. You're like, dude, please let me speak. Hold it right there. In the spirit of Ramadan, I will be donating 1 penny for every subscriber I get this month to families in Gaza. So what I need from you is to like, subscribe, comment, and share my YouTube channel with your family and friends so you can help me reach my goal of $1,000. And if you really do feel motivated, then please go down to my links in the description down below so you can check them out and you can get involved in my fundraiser as well. Now back to the video. With that, so first of all, Iman, thank you for joining me today. I know we just kind of met right now, but already hearing you and some of the stuff that you've done, it's already super inspiring, and I'm sure whether with this fundraiser, future fundraisers, whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna be successful, inshallah.
inshallah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm super excited for just meeting people. First of all, I know this is an interview about you, but let me make it about me for a second. And so I've been reading this book about the 3 principles of like the fundamentals of Islam, right? And it's like, you like first, you can't just do action without knowledge, and obviously you need knowledge to do action, right? And so seeing young people, people of our generation like taking action is super inspiring to me. I think it doesn't like being in other religions, like, or like as a Christian before, it wasn't like it was funny. One of my close friends One of my close friends. Oh wow, mashallah. Yeah, one of my close friends from the mosque in San Francisco. He's texting me right now, and he's saying that they have a new convert as well. Alhamdulillah, and so that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'll make dua for him. Worldly things doesn't really bother people, right? It's like, okay, I go to
Yeah.
church on Sunday. If maybe if I have a couple bucks and I see a homeless person, I'll take care of them. Maybe some minister stuff. But I mean, seeing like, now diving deep into Islam and just seeing like, the care for not only just one's family but the local community and also like people abroad. It's like, wow, like it's pretty inspiring, right? And you're so and I'm about to say it here too, but yeah, totally 1000%, right? you know, like like Islam as a whole, but also like the like true believers as a whole, this society as a whole, however you want to wrap your head around it, like we have been kind of been like pushed over, right? Like it's just been a lot of pushing over for a long time, you know, whether you want to look at Islam, whether you want to look at like specifically like me as an American, like the American taxpayers, like whatever it has been, it's been like, a lot of just like accepting what, people in higher authority have put in front of us, right? And, it's I'm not saying like monumental change is going to happen or it should happen or what it should look like or whatever. I'll let people smarter than me and more devoted than me figure that out. But it's the tiny changes, and that's what I really got out of like Sister Iman, where this woman has nothing, she barely has like enough food to purchase to then sell to then like raise money for people overseas, and so it's like it's but just inspiring seeing how like caring and passionate she is and how much she's trying and she's doing this all by herself, you know and so inshallah, like if you were to take anything from this particular interview, it's like what could you know like what could I do in my local community just to make the world a better place, right? This isn't about like this tribe versus that tribe or this religion versus that religion. It's like, how can I make this world a better place for everyone existing, right? And then it's like, like stand up for justice, stand up for people who are actually suffering truly. Obviously the families in Gaza, and obviously many other people in other Middle Eastern countries as well, and then people in America of course too. But it's like, there's so much, and we can't do it all at once. I'm just one person, you're just one person, but what can we do to start making the world a better place? And Sister Iman is someone who actually is actively doing that, and so yeah, like her energy and her passion is truly it's contagious for sure. Someone that what I've heard from Ahmed and obviously talking to you can is someone that's trying to lead the path. And so with that, that's a long introduction to for you to tell us about your background, like where are you from, where's your family from, how long like have you been in the Bay Area, et cetera, et cetera. And so just kind of go off from there.
Okay. Yeah, I was born in Oakland actually. We're from Yemen, but I was born in Oakland
Mm-hmm.
and raised there. And I went to school most of my life there, and I ended up going to college between Berkeley City College, and then I transferred to Cal State East Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and I did my bachelor's in child development and human development,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked at the elementary school for like 7 years for the city of Emeryville. So I was always working like in community service and like with kids and stuff like that, but I wasn't specifically like in the masjid as much
Yeah.
until like 2023, like when I started doing more like fundraising efforts.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
did that happen like, your involvement in the masjid and then fundraising efforts, like was that like a simultaneous thing? Like did you join the message to start doing more fundraising? Like, I guess, give me some explanation here.
So I had been going to that masjid for a while, but my family, like, Jumu'ah is like obligated for the men. So like the men would
Of
go like
course.
every Jumu'ah, and sometimes the women, honestly, we wouldn't go as much unless it was like Eid, Ramadan,
Mm-hmm.
Tarawih, like those times. Um, and I wanted to start getting back more into the masjid, but like between like college and work and everything, like sometimes there wasn't always time. But Ramadan, like we always make a point to
Mm-hmm.
like find time for that. And then um I saw like some people selling food, and I saw some people having like small businesses and stuff, and I'm like, I wanted to get into fundraising and stuff, but I know it's not going to be sustainable to just ask people to like keep fundraising without offering something. Like this
Yeah.
is a small masjid, is a small community. I want something to like get people to come to my table. So I was like, let me try out food. And it just went like really well.
Oh, you started
Alhamdulillah.
making
Yeah,
food?
that's how I raise the money.
Oh
That's the
wow.
way I raise the money. Every
Even
single
now?
Jummah I'm there. Yeah, I've been doing it for
Oh
2 years.
really?
I
Oh
thought Ahmed told you that.
no no no. No, I'm just learning. I didn't know. Yeah, I was just like, all right, you're just asking me for more money. Let's
That's how I
go.
get donations. So that's how I
Okay.
get donations, and that's why I was concerned
I
about
mean, dude,
Ramadan.
that's like a full-time job, right? Like you're just cooking for the mosque, alhamdulillah. And then she doesn't even take a penny from it, right? That's crazy.
And he decided to like help me connect with you because he knows Ramadan I can't sell hot food.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because I
I'm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because obviously she can't sell during the Friday. Doing
sell
the
like
work for you. Let's go.
inshallah.
Tag
No, we're
team.
gonna do an iftar. I'm gonna cook. Last year I did an iftar, and this year inshallah I'll do another one. But
Inshallah.
it's not the same as like every single Jummah selling food.
For sure.
Yeah. So
Wow. I mean, the world just really just lines up. I totally glossed over the. See, this is why I like watching this stuff because like I'm just like wow, like I totally glossed over the fact that obviously during Ramadan she can't sell food on Fridays because no one's eating on Friday. No one's eating during the day. And so, it's like my friendship with Ahmed led me to her that can help her raise money. And so, yeah, man, I mean, it's crazy stuff, right?
I did start just like with family and friends and like just having people to try to get enough for the water because when I found out how cheap it was, like before the cash rates and everything got high, I was like, that's pretty doable. Like if I get 20 people or if I get like 25 people, we could do that every week. And it was working out in the beginning, but
Hmm.
like I said, that's not sustainable,
Yeah,
That's just like a small project and the need was getting bigger.
yeah.
And this was past going into 2024, so more families were sheltering and coming from the north down to the south of the people that I was working with, and the camp expanded and it became like it went from like 50 families probably like 200 families, and
Hmm.
then the camp next to it same thing, like 400 families. That's like thousands of people. At that point one water truck is not going to be enough, but that was the capacity that I had. I was like, I can only cook so much.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
people want to donate more, then we could do food or we could do other projects, but the main necessity is always going to be water
For sure.
because that's like what they're cutting them off from. And they bombed the desalination plant, so it's like
Hmm.
all they have is these trucks. They're relying on these trucks.
Hmm.
um and for a while, alhamdulillah,
I
like
mean, dude, like just like I mean, it's just hard to conceptualize, right? It's like the more I continue to understand the situation, and it's really like you know like especially just like the like what Americans are consuming in terms of the media, right? But you know and obviously that's one of the greatest strategies and tactics in war is to go after the water supply, right? And so you go after the water supply. That's how you absolutely destroy a society, right? You can't exist without it. And the fact that there's just this one woman in Northern California that's doing her best to cook food and send them money every single week so that they can get water trucks. That's the only way they can get water. You're just like, what? Like you're just like, you know, like especially with you know like all of the things that that the Bay Area has to offer. All the different excitements and travel and whatever. She's spending her time literally just helping people that she'll never meet in real life, which is crazy to think about.
it was slow, but it slowly started.
And again, it's all for, you know, her love for Allah azzawajal and justice ultimately as well too.
Like picking up, and sometimes like Ramadan or Eid, like somebody will make like a one-time big donation, and then I could do like a bigger project, or I could do like food distribution. We did grocery distribution. We did orphan sponsorship. Um, During the mandatory evacuations, we helped like three families evacuate.
Wow.
Um, so, we just work like on a small basis with
Mhm.
the people that I know on the ground. I don't go through like any big companies or like third parties. I make sure it like goes directly to the people that I personally know. And I've been working with the same people for like the past 2 years.
Mhm.
People try to convince me to expand, but I'm like, I see some people get scammed, or I see some things where some people, when they receive like a large amount, they get greedy, or maybe they inflate prices like a little
Yeah, yeah.
bit.
Assalamu alaikum, folks. I hope you guys are really enjoying this interview so far. I mean, this interview was a blast to record. Aman is truly passionate and she's fiery, and she really, does a lot for, her local community and the community, the Muslim community at large. And so, again, please leave a like and definitely check out the donation link down below so we can help support her in her cause, and her efforts in helping, different, over 200 families in Gaza. Now, unfortunately, in this part of the interview, we did get to a part that is a little bit sensitive. And so, and it's still, I mean, see, you could see she was being so candid, and then she just totally said things that she probably shouldn't have said, or she wanted to make sure it just wasn't part of the video, unfortunately. But this part was nuts. I can't reveal anything about it. It seems like an ongoing process, and so due to her request, we ultimately are taking it out of the video. However, there is an Instagram clip that I wanted to share that she wanted to also share with you guys as well, just so you can see just how passionate she is about all of these different issues, especially what's going on with our Gazan brothers and sisters. Take a look.
I'm a proud Yemeni American. I was born and raised. I'm from California, and I'm a former Berkeley student. I volunteer for a collective that raises money to do water distribution in Bir Gaza. Last week, we had the funds, but we could not do the transaction because there was no water for them to distribute. They're on day 56 of not a single drop of water entering the Gaza Strip. 2 million civilians. 2 million civilians, over which half the population is children. For the people saying that you're voting against peace, that's the Peace Commission. That's the Peace Commission, not the Hamas Commission. The Peace Commission and the pastor and Jewish Voice for Peace and your constituents and this community who has been hurting for 570 days.
And so yeah, what she does, dude, you know what? Well, I mean, Steve, here's the thing, these people are living in extreme conditions, right? They're not getting any water for 50 plus days, right? And so, unfortunately, you know what she has to do? And she explains this. She explains this in the video. She has to spend 9, 10, sometimes 12 hours waiting there just so that she can help, that she can convince the city council to not take our tax dollars in the Bay Area to hand over to the state of, that's causing all of this harm, right? That's the situation here. And so, Steve, we know that you're heartless. We know that you don't care about people's feelings. We know that you work for the military-industrial complex and you are supportive of a lot of the things that are happening. So your comment is useless, and you're an extremist as well. That's just the truth.
It's honestly despicable that we're turning it into two sides. It's not.
And unfortunately, when there's a woman that's passionate about helping people get water, you're now framing her as an extremist, which is super low IQ.
Two sides when there's 100,000 civilians dead on.
And it shows that you have no respect, right? People always if I was to go do this, or if a man was to go do this, talking to city council, trying to convince them not to spend tax dollars, you would think they're a good civilian. But because of a woman who's trying to respect herself and respect her faith by not showing her face, and being passionate about this, she's labeled extremist.
Side. It's not two sides when it's been 76 years of occupation. And I would love to read you from the Commission on a Jewish Homeland in Palestine, 1937, the quote from Winston Churchill, one of the first Zionists. I do not agree that the dog in a manger has the final right to the manger, even though he has lain there for a very long time.
And so what are those people doing to the people in Gaza? I'm confused.
I do not admit that right. For instance, that a great wrong has been done to the Red Indians of America or the Black people of Australia. I do not admit that a wrong has been done to these people by the fact that a stronger race, a higher grade race, a more worldly wise race, to put it that way, has come in.
I already sent you the comment earlier, but I'll explain this after this as well. I'll let her speak, and then I'll explain this position on this.
And taken their place. And the former prime minister of Israel used to refer to us Arabs as human beasts. This is systematic. This is ethnic cleansing, and it's been going on for a very long time. And a threat to our justice is a threat to the justice of Jewish people everywhere.
Yeah, and it's true. right? Like, unfortunately, as we know, we've had, the prime minister of that state, claim that Iran has had, is 2 weeks away from nuclear weapons since the 1980s, and he's been pushing, you know, a conflict with the United States and Iran, which is going to be a threat, um, to everyone on this earth, right? It's gonna be a threat to Americans. It's gonna be a threat to that state in particular. It's gonna be a threat to the people of Iran. It's gonna be a threat to everyone. This push for geopolitical conflict within the Middle East. Unfortunately, since 2001, the United States has spent $20 trillion on Middle Eastern conflicts, right? And from those conflicts, 10,000 U.S. soldiers have died. Unfortunately, 5 million Arab lives have people have also died, through economic sanctions and through military conflict. And so, for the benefit of one state, right? It's not, the United States is a shell of what it used to be. If that money was used for our own health situation or our own infrastructure or technology or innovation, we would be able to compete with countries like China, but we will be left in the dust because we've spent so much time pussyfooting around with a state that has no regard for our own dignity and obviously the dignity of Gazan families. Without a doubt, we're living in a Groundhog's Day, right? It's 250 years ago, we were subjected to a divinely right ruled state that believed that it had the divine right to rule us. And guess what? That's the country that you live in, the United Kingdom. And, they believed that their king had the divine right to rule given to them by God. And then that, his law was above everyone else. And then that our state was subjected to them by taxes. And so then, because our close relationship with the United Kingdom would allow for more protection of the citizens of America, and we had to then use our tax dollars to then fund useless wars within Europe, which obviously was a bunch of nonsense for an individual king that had this self belief that he was above the law and above everything, and so we had to have an American Revolution. The reason why people back in 1776. Americans at the time, George Washington, whoever you want to name, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, they were extremists, right? They're extremists because they're like, why are tax dollars going to a state that doesn't benefit the lives of American people, right? Unfortunately, 250 years later, the American people are in the exact same situation again. We are connected to a parasite that believes it has a divine right to rule, it has a divine right to land, and we've been giving them at least $9 billion a year. We've been giving them $21 billion in the past 3 years, plus, potentially other security. We've also been giving them Venezuelan oil recently. That's the first time they've ever received oil from Venezuela. And so, it ultimately becomes, what is the relationship between us and that country productive for the world? Is it productive for the world? Is it productive for the security of the United States? Is it productive for the security of the Middle East, right? And, when there's people that haven't received any water and they've been bombed, their water station has been bombed. Last Friday, or the final Friday of Ramadan last year, that state bombed a mosque in Gaza during Jummah, right? And you're calling this person extremist, or you're calling, the Gazan people extremists. Yeah, sure. There militant groups? 100%. But unfortunately, they've been pushed to an extreme level of horrible conflict and yeah, losing their land. And so yeah, it's really unfortunate. And so I give a lot of respect that she has the patience and time to work with these people, and she's been doing a lot of amazing work from what it sounds like to help certain city councils, specifically in Oakland, to divest in using the tax dollars towards that country, especially when Oakland, out of all places, has really bad homelessness. Shops are being looted, the streets are dirty, but we're investing in a country that is performing a genocide ultimately.
So things like that. Like it's kind of sad because I do encourage people. I'm like, don't be scared to like talk to people or ask questions. Like there's always
Steve, you literally have like the most like you have like 5 questions in your head, and you just recycle them over and over and over again. It's pretty cringe.
families and DMs or comments asking for help. Ask them a couple questions. Sometimes you could see their location. You don't even have to ask them for their number or to send you like something live, but you could do that. Like it's not hard to have like a 5 minute conversation. Be like, oh, how are you? Where are you? Where do you live? Like,
Mm.
can you show me that you're actually in Gaza or that you're like in a tent community? Because even in Gaza, subhanAllah, there's a lot of disparity between the north and the south, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who still have their homes standing.
Yeah.
And then in the north, 98% of the infrastructure is gone. So if you're from the north, you have nothing. You, not most likely, you do have almost nothing left.
Yeah.
So, like, I try to tell people, like, do some due diligence. Like, don't just ignore these families, but do like a little type of.
Yeah. I mean, also like what's funny is the prime minister of that state. He went to like school in Philadelphia, like in America, like like I don't know if it was private school or whatever, but it's like he's literally he wasn't even really like I don't know, and I don't even think his real name is Benjamin Netanyahu. Like he made his name look like that, so he just seems more, um, yeah, he seems like he's more from that land.
Like conversation. There's nothing wrong with that because a lot of these people they're more than willing to provide proof.
Yeah,
People have medical documentation if they're on medicine. They have, they have like these medical tents. You don't have to necessarily go to a hospital to prove that like you have a condition or that you're hungry or that you're in a tent. Like there's ways that people, regular people on the ground, can connect with families. Like, subhanallah, we've never been in like an age of social media like this where it's like this easy to connect
for sure.
and to have like all this information. Because there are people they don't want to go through any organizations, and I always encourage people. I'm like, if you don't want to donate through me, find a way to do it to yourself because there's so many people.
Yeah, and this is facts, right? Like same thing with like my fundraiser. Like if you have other ways of performing zakat, right? You know, whether that's like you're able to do that through your local masjid or you're able to, find people directly, then obviously like, like ultimately it's all about like, helping people in need, right? And there's so many ways you can do that. And yeah, inshallah we'll continue like to do that, and inshallah just make the world a better place.
People who could use it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean that's actually like, really like great advice, but it's so simple, right? It's like
Yeah,
I never
it's
thought
like
about that.
don't be scared and be like, oh, I can't do it. It's like that's what they want people to think. They want people to be like, it's too complicated, it's
Yeah.
too dangerous, nobody do it. Oh, there's gonna be legal trouble. There's so many platforms. There's PayPal. There's Chuff. There are still some standing GoFundmes. There's plenty. There's plenty of ways to people to do it through somebody else or through an organization if they don't want their name to connect it to it. If people really wanted to contribute, they would find a way to do it.
No, for
You
sure.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I mean that's actually like fantastic advice. Is
Yeah.
like if don't wait for someone like me. Like I shouldn't even have waited for someone like you. Like we like there's people like especially on Twitter. I know Twitter you were seeing people constantly post, but then as you mentioned,
Yeah.
do your due diligence, right? Making sure like these people are legitimate. These people like do have needs, right? They are in like parts of Gaza that have been as you mentioned 98% destroyed. So no, that's I mean 90% of the infrastructure is destroyed, right? And then we have people thinking that they're extremists. Imagine you lost 98% of your house, right? And then you're like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here. Like, dude, like you're unfortunately you get pushed to an extreme where you have to fight for your life. It's I was watching this lecture, and it's by Sheikh Omar Salaman, and he was talking about like the mercy of Allah azzawajal, and Allah azzawajal gives us 1% mercy in this life, and then saves 99% of His mercy for the hereafter, and and it's our responsibility to do with the 1% that Allah azzawajal has, and it's just like we totally just cannot coexist with anyone. It's quite remarkable how horrible we are to one another, where we're trying to starve people from water. Yeah, it's like I said, I have so much respect for Iman, how she does this by herself, right? She does this all by herself. She's been doing this all by herself for 2 years, right? with not a thank you, like obviously from the people who are getting it, but like with like zero recognition, right? She's like truly one of like the like an unsung hero. It's kind of insane. I have much respect for her. Like I said, it's like almost like wow, like how did you not think of that? But you're right, like it's fear mongering and to making sure that people don't
There's a
support
lot of fear mongering around that, yeah.
for
And
sure.
I did tell, and then it's so funny because some people they're too nice. They're on the opposite end. They're like, "Well, we're coming from an immense place of privilege. How could we question them?" I'm like, when you're first establishing a relationship with anybody in the world, no matter where they are, Muslim or not, you always should
Yeah,
like establish that trust in the beginning
absolutely.
before starting anything, even before just talking to somebody for the first time, even if we're not talking money.
Hmm.
You know, there are Muslims out there who are just Muslim by name,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
unfortunately.
Yeah, no, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And so yeah, from your capacity, you started this by doing just water donations because obviously that's always the highest of need. And so let's say like someone has like $1. What can $1 do and help provide for someone overseas? Yeah, I was really hoping she would like help me. I was trying to help her help me help us, right? It took a while to get there, but I was like, okay, what is a metric that people can understand that what their dollars can do, right? So we kind of finally get there though, or I guess if like maybe $10 or $100, like what would that
Oh,
look like?
$10. I mean, last time I did a coat distribution, I could get some jackets for literally as cheap as like $12.
Mm-hmm.
$10 can do a lot more than what people could think it do, especially because I pay the fees when I send, and we're sending everything all at once. So it's like if I have a small amount, I'm not gonna send right away. I'm gonna wait until we collect it,
Yeah.
and that small little $10 is gonna be a part of like a huge distribution. So they're gonna get the edge. They're gonna get the barakah
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, no matter if it's $5 or $50,
For sure.
everything, literally everything helps.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, like let's say, like with 10, like just like let's just say like in terms of like water, right? Like I know sometimes you might do food depending, or you might do like clothing depending, or tent depending. Like with $10, like would that like help a family for a day? Would that help like in terms of water? Like could that be like? And I guess my questions weren't perfect either. Like for a week, like what do you think that would be like?
I would say because the water, they normally do it in increments of 5,000 liters, and a 5,000 liter truck runs before fees around $300.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like the same type of philosophy. Like I would just contribute it to like the bigger distribution.
Makes
For
sense.
food, yeah, then no, they could definitely feed people with $10. I'd say like even a whole grocery bag that would feed people for at least like 3 to 5 days would probably run them like $30.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too bad right now. People are a little bit scared that it's gonna shoot up because there are rumors that the borders and things are gonna close again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's it's the unfortunate thing about how many times is there going to be a ceasefire in Gaza? Like how many times will there be a ceasefire?
But even from before, the amount of aid that was supposed to be coming in is not coming in.
Yeah,
Any aid that comes in at all lowers the prices. So any aid is good, but it's nowhere near the amount that it should be. It's like right now it's slightly higher than America, which is funny to think about.
yeah, yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah. So you say like one truck costs around $300. So how many people would that help? For how long of a time?
We would they used to do it once a week. That was just my responsibility to contribute for one 5,000 liter truck because that was my capacity at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
they were getting about like two trucks every week.
Okay.
And if they run out, they would get another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, and that would be for the families of like 50. Is that what you said earlier that you're helping before, or the 200?
It was 200 families.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if they don't have enough, they would just get somebody else to cover like the other truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that would last that one truck and those 200 families that would last like what would you say like
The week.
The week. Okay. Wow. I mean that's just crazy to think about. Yeah, like dude, like for the week, that's crazy.
So they were kind of like, it honestly depends on the area that they're in. The area I work in was in the south. And there's the dirty groundwater and then there's the drinkable water,
Okay.
right? So there was a time where they were almost like rationing water because they had to choose between drinking water or using it for bathroom and hygienic purposes. And my most important thing was people's dignity, you know?
Of
So
course.
I can't afford to make like personal bathrooms, but I can afford to help them get like a hose and dig up like a ground well that's already has like the
Mm.
infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
half there.
Yeah.
So they were able to do that for very cheap, like pennies on the dollar.
Wow.
Alhamdulillah, that helped like lessen the load a lot.
Yeah.
There are some areas where there's nothing available like
Mm-hmm.
that, so they have to use it for both, and they might need more trucks because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Luckily, the area that I was working in is like a little bit more, what is the word? Like more aid comes in through that spot
Okay.
in the south. It's called Dir al Balah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the where the most, I'd say like 1.2 or 1.1 million people were there.
Mm.
The whole area in
Yeah.
general. Yeah. The Dir al Balah camps is where most people ended up taking refuge from the north and from the middle. But then during, it was like kind of complicated because some of the people that we work with, they had to go back to where, you know, they were from. And then there was a third or fourth or God knows what number it was evacuation. And that one was mandatory when they drew the yellow line
Mm-hmm.
and they can't return to any home that's behind the yellow line.
Wow.
So now I'm, my work looks a little bit different because the people that I was working with are split.
Yeah.
So now like some are in one area and some are in another area. And I like that because I can have impact in different
For
areas.
sure.
But like maybe like on social media, for example, it'll look slower or smaller, like
Mm.
30 here, 30 jackets there, 30, you know.
Yeah.
Like some people they want to see like, oh, we sent for 100, we want to see it like all at one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they think the results are gonna come like magic like that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, you know, like one, I think it's interesting, like, you know, learning more. It's just crazy how, you know, we're choosing to fast, and, you know, people unfortunately just, you know, are you know, struggle endlessly with for the past few years. It's crazy. Got this slowly. It's like, you know, you're talking to people, you're hearing what their needs are. Like, not like every single time you fundraise money, it's not like the same. Like, you're getting them the same
Yeah.
things. Like, you're seeing like, okay, they might need jackets, they might need maybe food, they might need
Yeah.
a hose, right? You know, it's
Mhm.
not just like you're getting them gallons of water. And so, and then, but yeah, like, you know, from like the I guess the benefactor point of view, you're like, well, I donated all this money, so like, why isn't there larger results? And you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, like, you know, be patient, we're trying. You know, this is also like a
Yeah, or
human's life.
sometimes, subhanAllah, they don't even have internet to send me the video or the space to record
Yeah.
what they, so it takes time. Like sometimes I'll send them something and they'll send me over the course of like 8 days, like the videos, and I have to put them together. And it's just, that's what they're working with, you know?
Yeah.
We have somebody there, he does graphic design, and sometimes he doesn't have electricity. So it's just, you know, I'm trying to give these people like the opportunity to get back to their normal lives and help out. And because they're not taking like expecting money for their, this is like on a volunteer basis.
For sure.
This whole, like, we don't have, like, you see the other people in Gaza, they have like vests with their names sewed on the charity into the back. And I'm like, I'm not gonna waste any money on uniforms. I know it gives a good look,
Yeah.
but we're just a mutual aid collective. We're not a company. We're not in a, it's not like a registered, you know, like under the government or anything.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like a masjid-based project that
Yeah. Then I do, Steve. Then I do.
I've been trying to keep going.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I mean, and this is like where the real work is done, right? Where you're actually like making, you're actually helping people.
Yeah.
You're not doing like sorry, I'm gonna help people. Like, sorry, I'm gonna help people that are suffering. You know, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stand up for justice and the truth. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna help. You know, if this, you know, like, you know, inshallah, you know, obviously I know this is for Ramadan and this is Muslim specific and these people from Gaza, of course. But, you know, this, like, no one in 2026 should be suffering from, you know, literally being like, you know, ensuring that they are on purpose not getting water, they are on purpose not getting food, right? Like, that should not be the situation, right? We live in a life of abundance, right? There's so much food being wasted in this country specifically too. And they're being forced in conditions where they have to evacuate their homes because they're going to get bombed. And then they are, the desalination water plants are being bombed as well. And so, yeah, whatever happens in the future, it doesn't matter to me. Like, right, I'm gonna stand up for the truth, and I'm gonna do everything I can to help people that deserve it, right? Especially my you know, inshallah, you know, we're doing Gaza this year, inshallah, we continue to grow the channel and we continue to help other communities as well, other states, other countries, whatever it may be. you know. But yeah, I mean, it's I'm not gonna sit aside and pretend that's not happening just because, oh, I don't want to go on an airplane, or because I'm not gonna be able to make an airplane. Like that's the biggest excuse and the saddest thing I've ever heard. So yeah, I don't, Steve, like, I have nothing to be careful of. I've already told you this. The only fear I have is of Allah azzawajal and a painful chastisement of the hellfire. Everything besides that is just, oh, what? Like, who cares? Who cares? And so, I'm going to do my best to serve God, and I'm going to do my best to serve his people, and, just be kind and be helpful to the best I can.
And I like it this way because I can see literally where every dollar goes, Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And so, and trust me, I haven't been on a flight in like 2-3 years. I'm already on a no flight list, basically. So yeah, it is what it is, right? So, I know you were kind of touching, like Steve, like, I already have envisioned all of this, right? Like, what this future looks like for me, right? I wouldn't be making YouTube videos. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't expect the worst, right? If I didn't think that the worst could potentially happen, right? But I'm doing this because this is the truth, right? This is the truth, and I'll serve. It doesn't matter how many people watch this live stream. There could be 0, and I would still be reacting to this video, and I would still be posting this video, and I would still be doing other interviews with people and trying to get the truth and trying to fundraise money. I would be doing everything I can. Doesn't matter how many people show up. And so someone who's one, been disrespectful to my guest, and so you're lucky I haven't muted you yet, but you've been disrespectful to my guest that I've been interviewing, and thinking that you can fearmonger me into being scared of a little airplane. Yeah, I'm good, brother. I'm gonna live well. Walaikum salam, brother. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a great Ramadan, inshallah. I guess, is there anything that you're specifically like trying to like incorporate into your life that you would like to see, like, after Ramadan? Let me know. Yeah, thank you for joining. I really want to say your name, but I really don't want to make a mistake saying your name. So I'm going to just call you Bukhari. On in the beginning, but what? Steve, it's the truth. It's the truth, and you're scared to accept it, and that's cool. That's cool, dude. Steve, you're King Coke, brother. Like, is there something like I guess just to say it bluntly, like, these people have no water, no food, and you're gonna do everything you can. I mean, Steve, we know what your background is, dude. Like we know who you are. You've exposed yourself in in the comment section today. On this video, you exposed yourself, and so it's it's cool. I appreciate you for always coming. You're always, if you're gonna be respectful, you can stay, but yeah, like, you're a dissident, and that's okay. It's no worries. Yeah, no, I just don't want to say your first name. It's just really close to something that I could potentially mess up, and it would not be a good look. It would not be a good look, but I think Bukhari is great. Yeah. Like, what inspired you to do this? Like, Steve, you only help yourself. That's all you do. You only help yourself. You only care about yourself. You don't care about the world. You said that you only do this for money. You work in the military industrial complex. You don't care about anyone besides yourself, Steve. It's just the truth. I really hope that, you come to my streams with an open mind to, inshallah, like, be guided by the truth. But unfortunately, you have no regard for your fellow neighbor. You really don't. But, like, really is motivating you to do this. Because you always say, like, why would I accept, your policy is about, which is fake. You just say this as a gotcha. You just say this for attention. You don't really mean this. Walaikum salam, Izzy. Good to see you. Hope it's Friday. No. You're on time. You're on time. Thank you for joining. I obviously focus on Ramadan, Izzy. Focus on what you have to do to serve Allah azzawajal. That's the most important thing. But yeah, but Steve, I've given you enough airtime actually for today. So I'm gonna focus on the video.
A year of going to, or less than a year, I don't know how long, in 2023 up until I started in the summer of 2024. fundraising. I was going to a lot of city council meetings,
Mm.
trying to make an impact, trying to get through to them. You know how that goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Very frustrating. Feels like it's not making a difference. It's important to keep showing up. It's important to keep making your voice heard, but the politics of it is just bigger.
So yeah, Izzy, for a little background, so yeah, this is the sister that I'm helping with the fundraiser, and so she's been doing this for 2 years. She started with a few families, and so now she helps over 200 families in 2 different camps within Gaza, and typically what she does during the rest of the year is that she buys food, she cooks food, and then she sells the food during Juma on Fridays. But because it's obviously Ramadan, no one's eating food on Friday. I got connected to her by the person I interviewed from the day before, Ahmed. And so I've been helping her kind of like, with the slack of, not raising as much money during this month. And so, yeah, it's been, it's been really inspiring to see just someone who does all of this. She doesn't have a single person on her team. She runs an Instagram by herself. She obviously gets the money over there by herself. She cooks the food by herself. She goes to city council meetings by herself to help, get these city council members to divest in the genocide, of course. And so, it's pretty inspiring how much she really puts into helping people, and so it's pretty miraculous. And yeah, after this conversation, it was like, yeah, like I really want to do everything I can to help her on her goal. And so yeah, inshallah, we'll continue to. We're always going to do this every single day for the rest of Ramadan, and yeah, we'll reach the goal of $1,000. I know she'll be super excited. She's already super pumped. I showed her. It's funny. I emailed her. Yesterday, and I showed her your donation, and she was super pumped. And so yeah, it's you've already made a massive difference for me and for her and for obviously for the people of Gaza.
Unfortunately, it's a disgusting system. Sometimes like it does, like you can, like right now, inshallah, actually please make dua. I have a meeting on Wednesday for the Oakland Divest campaign. We finally secured an appointment with the president of the city council because I went to a public event and I
What'd you do?
like he called it a coffee chat where like anybody in the room could like raise their hand. He did it in a coffee shop actually because he said he wants to listen to the community. And it's funny because I remember him from 2023 when I went there to speak to them about the ceasefire resolution. And I was like, I remember you, because he wasn't president at that time. I was like, I remember you when you were a council member in 2023. You said you're tired of waking up and seeing dead babies on your phone. What changed? He got really embarrassed.
Wow. Yeah.
He got really embarrassed. And I said,
we gotta. Yeah, inshallah. Yeah. Of course, this is all the serve of Allah azzawajal. But yeah, I make dua every single prayer that and I make dua for you too, because what you did showed like pure generosity. People are typically wait till the last few days of Ramadan during the last 10 nights, and obviously like to get their zakat. But you on the first day showed that like you really wanted to obviously help me, of course, but obviously help the people of Gaza. And so mashallah, alhamdulillah, and I pray and I thank Allah that you were able to help us. But yeah, I want to listen to this one more time.
And I was like, I remember you, because he wasn't
Yeah, I know. It's like we're supposed to have the demons chained, and so it's I will say it's the leash is getting tighter and tighter, and so but yeah, he's like I said, I've given him enough airtime for today.
To speak to them about the ceasefire resolution.
But I do want to listen to this again because this just shows the hypocritical nature of the politicians in specifically the United States.
Actually, he said he wants to listen to the podcast. Like right now, inshallah, actually please make dua. I have a meeting on Wednesday for the Oakland Divest campaign. We finally secured an appointment with the president of the city council because I went to a public event and I
What'd you do?
Like he called it a coffee chat where like anybody in the room could like raise their hand. He did it in a coffee shop actually because he said he wants to listen to the community. And it's funny because I remember him from 2023 when I went there to speak to them about the ceasefire resolution. And I was like, I remember you. Because he wasn't president at that time. I was like, I remember you when you were a council member in 2023. You said you're tired of waking up and seeing dead babies on your phone. What changed? He got really embarrassed.
Wow. Steve, you have 5 questions. You recycled them all. I already answered your question, dude. Yeah.
He got really embarrassed. And I said, and they sent over 1,300 emails in the past 4 months from the Oakland Divest campaign, and nobody has responded. When can we meet with you? When are we going to be able to meet with you? He's like, we can definitely meet. And he was like, so like,
Wow.
you know.
No, you called them
So
out. And,
inshallah.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, of course, because I'm like, they care. That's politicians for them. That's their image is everything.
Yeah.
He's at a community event with cameras and everything. Of course, me saying something like that, he has to say, yes, I'll meet with you.
Yeah.
And I was afraid that maybe he wasn't going to follow up, but alhamdulillah, we got the appointment. So
Wow. And so it's coming up.
the legislation is
Yeah, when we do the update with her at the end of Ramadan, we're going to have to find out what happened with this meeting.
all written now, and Richmond, Albany, and Hayward, they've already divested. So we're
So look at that, right? We already have communities that are divesting in this in this genocidal state.
the appointment.
Wow, and so it's coming up.
The legislation is all written now, and Richmond, Albany, and Hayward, they've already divested. So we're really, really hoping that Oakland, inshallah, will be the fourth, because Oakland, they should have already took precedent with something like that. And I told them too, I was like, that's really embarrassing that Oakland didn't do this first.
For sure.
I was like, I don't think that Oakland is the type of city that wants to use our tax dollars to go and kill our families. Do you guys think? And I looked at the other people in the room. They're like, no.
Yeah. Dang.
I don't
Savage.
get shy when it's with the council members because they're snaky. Like,
Yeah,
you have to, you know?
Yeah.
They really care about their image, and they really. But yeah, so I was getting really like disheartened with that and the work that I was doing with A-Rock. It was all on a volunteer basis, just because it's like, how do you sleep at night? How do you sleep at night knowing that even if you're not working for this, because I used to work for the city, even if you're not working for the city anymore, even if you don't have a job right now, because technically I don't have a job right now, just even knowing like federal tax, sales tax, those things are going to that. I'm like, how can you sleep at night knowing that you're not doing something actively as a Muslim to try to counteract that?
For sure.
And it got even worse when, because I'm from Yemen.
Yeah.
And you saw like Yemen tried to defend Gaza and the price that they tried to make them pay for it, for stopping the ships in the Red Sea. Oh, it was a whole emotional roller coaster. But I'm like, you gotta do what you gotta do. Like, no matter, like, I might not have the impact or like the network that I wish that I had, but I have 2 hands and I can cook and people buy my food.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna change.
That's
you know what I mean? So I was like, every week I'm gonna keep doing anything that I can do to make some sort of impact. Because how embarrassing, not how embarrassing, but just how shameful would it be if I know like something is just this tiny little amount, maybe like $200, $300. That might be a lot for somebody who doesn't have a job at the time, but when you know a network of 20, 50, 100 people, if every person gave $1, $3, it's like, of course we could do that every week.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we do that every week?
Yeah. No,
I
totally.
wouldn't want to stop, you know?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. No, I mean, one, your passion bleeds through the camera, and you know, it's been great. I've had a lot of conversations with people like, you know, young in our group, and you know, it's good that, you know, you're standing up for the truth and standing up to people that, you know, like, bless other peacemakers, right? And so it's amazing that you're
Literally a message from Gaza right now.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Saying good morning.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe there's something in the air, right? You know, Allah azzawajal is the best of planners, but no, that's incredible, and yeah, I mean, you know, I totally get you from, you know, like, I remember in, you know, when it was, like, what really got me, like, you know, just, like, thinking about the whole world was, you know, when America left Afghanistan, right, in 2021,
Yeah.
and I saw, like, you know, people were so terrified, and they were, like, falling off of, like, you know, the airplanes, and I was, like, really questioning, I was like, what is, like, our government doing? Why are we putting all these people in danger? You know, what is my even opinions about all of this? And so I really had to take a step back and really just think about life in general, and so ultimately led me on the path to becoming a Muslim. And now it's led me.
Oh wow, subhanallah.
Yeah, subhanallah. And so, you know, I mean, it was a very long, degenerate journey at times. Unfortunately, you know, trying to let go of my.
When did you
life.
become Muslim?
So this was I've been practicing as a Muslim for like 2.5, 3 years, and then I did my shahada last year.
Mashallah.
And so yeah, so this is, even though this is like my first Ramadan as a Muslim, this is like my third Ramadan, and so yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Wow, mashallah.
Yeah, so I'm feeling this one's gonna. I mean, they've all been really insane so far, and I'm sure this one will be great as well. Yeah, this one has already been totally different than all the ones. Just in terms of like, you know, going from like what I like first Ramadan to now like this Ramadan. You know, where I read the Quran for the first time back in 2024, and now I'm reading the Quran for the first time in Arabic. And so yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, like, you know, what a few years could really just, you know, if you just put yourself on like a path of like consistency and just trying to really, like, you know, seek purification of your heart and your mind, you know, where, you know, you can end up in just a couple of years. It's kind of nuts. So, but yeah, so I mean, yeah, you're trying to fight the system. You're like, okay, everything is
literally.
Yeah, you're like, you know, you can, like, everything can be taken away from you. You can have no job, no this, but you're gonna, you know, work, you know, your heart out to help people because it's just the right thing to do, right?
Exactly.
And so that's amazing. And so now, I guess, you know, you've already kind of hit a little bit, but you know, you face political challenges. You face challenges trying to get, you know, money overseas, right? You know, what has been like the most massive challenge that you faced so far? And then how did you overcome this type of obstacle?
There was a week that we had the money and they were like, don't even send it because there's no water.
Wow.
That week killed me inside, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll send you a video. I went to talk to Berkeley City Council about it that week because they were just being extremely ignorant. They have something called the Peace and Justice Commission with a pastor, and Brother Majdi, he goes to our lighthouse. He owns, him and his brothers own Jaffa Cafe.
Okay.
They're Palestinian, and he's on the Peace and Justice Commission. So he helped that. He co-authored with the pastor like a legislation for Berkeley City to pass about like ceasefire and divestment. Because while I told you that Oakland actually did pass a small like ceasefire resolution in November 2023, they never passed any divestment legislation that would actually physically, financially make a difference.
Yeah.
And same thing with Berkeley. So that day we were there, and it happened to coincide with that same week. And there wasn't a way that Allah solved that problem. But that day was just like, how despicable that there's just water and all of these things and food just sitting at the border rotting, and it's just not coming in.
Yeah, water and food rotting at the border.
And solar panels and all the things that like were keeping whatever was left of their system running that week. Like there just wasn't, they were like, we want to buy a truck and there's no truck.
Wow. And so where, like, so you go to the city council to dang, I feel like even though I did the interview, I'm like hearing all of this for the first time. It's kind of crazy to ask for the water trucks, and then do they then send
No, I that coincided with the week that they already had like a legislation written out for the city council to speak. And I went to speak like as a community member, because their whole argument whenever we go to a city council, this is not a local issue. This doesn't affect local people. I'm like, you're taking dollars from our city and from our students and from the homeless population that are passing out in the middle of the street, and you're sending part of it to.
All right, Steve. I appreciate your concern on many things. I know you're just trolling, so we are gonna put you on timeout. Unfortunately, you've done it to yourself. But look, the jinn and the shaitans are chained up on you know, during the month of Ramadan, and so yeah, we've had enough, Steve. We've had enough for today.
Israel.
Yeah.
And you're saying that this has nothing to do with the people that live here, even if we weren't Muslim, even if we weren't Arab, even if we didn't have family overseas.
Yeah.
Why the hell are we doing that?
Yeah.
Like, I just basically went to just go like shame them, honestly, because I'm like, what are we doing? What are you guys doing? You're saying that this is not a local issue. This is the direct impact that you're having. These people have no water this week.
Yeah.
Thousands of people have no water. They're rationing water. They're not rationing food. They're rationing water. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy, like, you know, being in San Francisco, you know, and I saw literally, like, you know, like endless.
It's bad. It's worse.
Endless
it's worse
homelessness rampant, right? You know, like, but it's not only just that, right? It's I mean, there's one time where, when I would give out food and give out water, that was the one thing that people needed, like, is water, right? Like, they would be like,
Yeah.
I would run out of food. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have any food. But they're like, thank you. Like, all I needed was just water. And, but on top of that, right, like, it's, especially in certain parts, it's not only just the homelessness, but it's dirty. It's, there's disease. There's, obviously, drugs, unfortunately. And it's like, okay, like, first of all, you're taking these tax dollars, which could have helped these people, but now you're giving it to overseas to make things even worse over there.
Even worse,
right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the part that I really can't conceptualize. Like, we have all of this money, and especially in a place like San Francisco, and the homeless population is horrible. Like, especially like in LA, right? I know LA, like, there was like over like 100,000 homeless people, and they're using these tax dollars to then invest in countries. It doesn't matter what country it is. It could be Mexico. It could be Canada. It could be, it could be any country. It could be like, but why can't we help the people that are on our streets here? But then we're also, and at least if they were taking money and giving it to other countries, hopefully it would be helping those people over there. But they're using it to then, ensure that there's loss of dignity, no food, no water. And you're just like, your mind is just like blown. Like, how are we taking tax dollars to not make we're actually using these tax dollars to make people's lives worse. It's remarkable just how, we kind of just sit here and just, we just pretend it doesn't exist. It is truly sad. So it's like, it's not.
And you're criminalizing the people who are trying to help.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, if you're at least going to take our tax dollars and make this place worse, at least make that place better. But somehow you're making this place worse and that place even more worse. It's like, it doesn't make sense.
That's the goal, is how much can they get away with that before people say, this, we can't take this anymore, this is enough. But that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
people can't even get together on a general strike.
No, 100%.
For one day.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so, yeah, I mean, so I guess, this is just kind of going, off the questions here, but, when you're like campaigning per se and going to these city councils, I know it's bad. And yeah, I actually, Steve had a comment on this YouTube video earlier. I won't go too deep into it, but, we have President Donald Trump, right? He received $250 million from AIPAC, right? It's the American Israeli, super PAC. And, he's someone, we have President Donald Trump who is saying specifically, like, there's going to be no wars. Like, when I'm here, the Ukraine war, the Ukraine-Russia war is going to end in 24 hours. Well, we're a year into his presidency and it hasn't ended, right? When he came in, he's like, we're going to have a ceasefire with Gaza, like Israel and Gaza. Ceasefire happened and there were still bombings afterwards, right? And there's even talks about potentially going in and taking more land, right? This is from the Israeli, cabinet, right? Their minister, their like, political cabinet. And so, it's like, I mean, I voted third party. I've actually never voted for a major party president before because all of them have been garbage. They've all been really bad. And so I've just kind of thrown away my vote, I guess. I'll probably not vote in any future election unless there's like actually someone good, which I don't see that ever happening for a very long time. But, we have, and I'm not, and also like, I don't believe the Democrats would have put anyone better in. It would have been the exact same situation, of course, probably even worse. But you're just like, dang, dude, like it's just horrendous what, and you can go to, most Americans, it's pretty bipartisan, like, the stuff in Ukraine and stuff in Gaza. Like, we don't want people dying. No one wants people starving. No one wants people going without water. No one wants, where there's been hundreds of thousands of deaths within, the Ukraine-Russian war. No one wants that, right? No one actually wants that at all. And it's so easy to stop. You don't need military. You don't need defense systems. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need diplomacy and actually being, like, truthful with one another. And, rather than just like, but we're just paying taxes just to cause more chaos in the world. It's quite sad. And so, yeah, like I said, this, Iman is someone who's like literally doing everything she can to help people that she'll probably never meet in real life. And she doesn't really have much that she can even give them anyways, but she's doing everything she can to give them everything that she has. It's quite, it's very inspiring. Are you doing this like within a group, or are you doing this mostly alone? Like, what does your team look like when you're facing all of these challenges, and also sending water?
I'm alone. Usually I'm doing it alone. I'm doing everything alone. But
Wow.
sometimes at the city council, I would go if there's public comment because they make you wait I would wait sometimes 9, 10, 11, 12 hours just to comment. That's how they do it. They do it that way on purpose because they think nobody's gonna be patient. And
So
that's what I'm telling you. It was
sitting there like shaking. You're like, dude, please let me speak. And
I pushed my way up there past the security multiple times because sometimes they try to be strategic about it and they see what they can tell by looking at you what you're there to talk about.
Yeah.
So they try to shut you down before you can even. But somebody yielded their time to me, and I got 3 minutes, and they couldn't stop me.
Wow.
This happened multiple times, 3 times at Oakland City Council, 2 times at Berkeley City Council. And then I saw that so I see if they're gonna have like enough support, like the San Francisco one, they had a crazy amount of support. I didn't even show up to that one because I was like, that's a shoo-in. Like I could tell it's gonna go through, and it did, alhamdulillah. But that was back before people were building more like legislative power and like more talking about like arms embargo and divestment. That was just at the time the smaller like ceasefire resolution ones. People say that did have an impact because the city ones moved on to the state, and then the state ones they used that to help when they charter and they send like with the drafts from like the UN and everything. People say that it has power with like the local governments and stuff. And the whole point of starting with the local government is to move on to then state and then federal. But obviously, everybody knows once we get to federal, now we have Trump.
Yeah.
And even before Trump, we had Biden. He was doing the exact same thing.
Honestly. I mean, his cabinet was just full of people who were supporting what's going on, anyways, and so.
Yeah.
I mean,
but now the more concern now is about like you said, like fighting the system. Like they're trying to find new ways to criminalize like a bunch of things. So.
And you're doing this by yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, that's absurd. I mean, yeah.
Sometimes I would volunteer and help out, like groups like AROC or the people who draft, like if they have like specific resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
But if I know that they're gonna be there on that day, like I always show up to speak, like just in support. Because some people, I mean, the Bay Area, right?
Yeah.
There's like a lot of like peace and love and kumbaya and talk to people in a soft voice and tell them I see your heart and this and that. But I'm like that only works when people see you as a human. There's some people here who literally don't have any empathy or even see Muslims or Arabs as human.
For sure.
I'm gonna send you something that I read at the.
Yeah, that is the nice thing about the Bay Area. It's so diverse and in really odd cultures and religions, of course, where everyone's pretty chill with one another.
Berkeley City Council, because I was trying to show them, like, I'm like, this is not what you guys think it is. You guys are trying to turn it into two sides, because every time we have one of these city councils, obviously JCRC and all the like pro-Israeli packs, they send their people to always fill up the first 2 rows, and they look super organized and they look like it's like they're a community and this and that, and a lot of them are paid. They have like these nice glossy like matching like signs, like you could tell they're like from a group or something. And when they go up there, they try to turn it into like, again, like anti-Semitism or just BS complaints, and it's really annoying when that holds more merit than us talking about starving children.
For sure.
It's like that just really shows you like where their priorities are. Like they clearly do not see us the same. So you cannot talk to them the same way. You have to be more firm. You have to be on the defensive sometimes, honestly.
Yeah.
Because what are we afraid of? Them calling us aggressive? Let them call us aggressive. Maybe we need to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Because this gentle approach has not been working.
Yeah. No, totally.
Muslims have not been getting an ounce of respect.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I mean, I totally agree with everything. Yeah, that's been one thing that's been on my mind. So yeah, we're gonna end it here because I'm gonna get ready for Jummah. But yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna record this and I'm gonna post it in one of the days of Ramadan, inshallah. But this is just kind of going into my background of, you know, why I became Muslim, and then I'll probably just react to it on stream. But yeah, I mean, again, thank you. Let's see if we have any updates with fundraiser. Yes. I would be surprised if we did, but okay, yep, we're still at 440. Like I said, you know, so far so good. You know, first 3 days of Ramadan, we've already halfway goal. So I'm super excited for, you know, I think there's a good chance we can at least hit our goal of 1,000. And so inshallah, yeah, of course, inshallah. So, you know, yeah, Izzy, make dua. Everyone in the chat make dua that we can, you know, just hit our goal of 1,000. I mean, you know, and help these people, and also, like, you know, help Aman. You know, because like I said, she's not able to raise as much money during this month, but she's gonna do a couple of iftars to help as well. But yeah, like you know, I'm gonna be streaming again tomorrow around this time, and then on Sunday I'm gonna be doing a live stream as well, so that should be pretty fun. And then and that will also probably be relatively in the morning, and so, you know, but yeah, everyone just keep praying for our brothers and sisters overseas, of course. Keep praying for people in your community. You know, I pray for all of your guys' health, because I know, you know, health is like one of the few things that can be, you know, it's just anything can happen with your own health, your own family's health, and so, you know, sometimes it can come out of the blue, and so, you know, I pray that, you know, Allah Azzawajal can put blessings into all of your health and keep you guys on the straight path. And so, yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow, inshallah. And yeah, tomorrow's gonna be more of a reacting to like other videos, and so I am excited to kind of take a break from reacting to my own stuff, and then we'll be reacting to, you know, what other people like. You know, like, I know people want me to watch like some Muslim Lantern stuff, so I might, you know, watch him. And, you know, I'm also, my friend sent me a thing from about Sheikh. Let me see, what's his name? He sent me a video that I want to watch on stream as well, from Dr. Yasser Kadhi. But yeah, but wanted to hear. Yeah, see you tomorrow, inshallah, Izzy. Walaikum salam, Babino. I'm actually going to end stream now because I'm gonna get ready for Jummah. I know I streamed really early today, but it's because I have a very busy day ahead, and so, but yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna stream around the same time, and then Sunday, also around this. I should say, yeah, walaikum salam. Yeah, walaikum salam. But yeah, yeah, like I said, I today is just a busy day, and so I had to do an earlier stream, but I'll probably get back to doing some you know, mid-afternoon streams next week. But I'm gonna have a couple morning streams the next couple days, because I do have, tomorrow I'm going to a wedding for my cousin, and then Sunday, the guest that I have that's gonna be joining us, he's also from he's on the East Coast, and so we're gonna have to do a earlier stream. But yeah, it's gonna be cool. Sunday's guest is gonna be cool. He's a reaver as well, and he makes YouTube videos as well. And so, you know, it's gonna be a great conversation. And so, yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow, inshallah. Again, you know, make dua. You know, try to rack up as many deeds as you can this month. You know, even just smiling at people or reading the Quran. You know, just the simple things, right? You know, just, you know, I pray that everyone just continues to seek the blessings from Allah Azzawajal and continues to be